Good morning, everybody, and welcome back. Or if you're new here, welcome to another edition of Kingly Conversations. And this week, we got another smooth one for you. But before we get to all of that, Zoe has some shout-outs.
Yeah, what up? Hey, first of all, thank you to all the listeners, man. We appreciate y'all. I just want to give a special shout-out to Soulfire Clothing. Thank you for coming out with that hot apparel. And also, I want to shout-out to Old Lord Youth Mentoring. All right? Shout-out.
Hey, this week, we're getting into it about preparing for the worst, but hoping for the best. So strap in. Let the Kings talk about it. All right, good people, welcome back again for another edition of Kingly Conversations. As I am every single week, I'm Alan.
Yo, what up? It's your boy Twine, a.k.a. Twine. Ask about my podcast, man. You know what it is. Yeah.
It's your friend, your mentor, Calvin D. Hill.
All right, man, let's get into it. Calvin,
What's up, man?
Okay.
What it is.
So today's topic is prepare for the worst, hope for the best. Now, to give you the inspiration behind that,
Let's do it.
because y'all think it's one thing, it really won't. But
I didn't even actually say anything. Twine said something.
Hey,
I was making sure the camera stayed cool and
I'm going to
everything
be
else.
honest, man. I'm just gaslighting. Let's get it.
Go
What is
ahead.
it about? What's
Go
the
ahead.
background?
I had a dream. You see, I'm one of them dream type people that I believe if you remember the dream is telling you something, or remembering something. So I had a dream. I was driving on the interstate in either Baltimore or Houston, and I saw a stadium, and as I was driving by, it had like been demolished. It was like devastation, just told the interstate
Like a football
up.
stadium?
It was a baseball stadium.
Baseball, okay.
So it was interesting, but it won't like a panic. It was like everyday life, but everything around me had been destroyed. It was like holes and cracks. I don't know what it was. I'm not saying it was
Apocalypse?
yeah, I'm not saying it was.
Okay.
I'm just saying it was devastating. It looked like the building had been half destroyed and the streets had holes in it and all this other stuff.
Okay.
For whatever reason. So it made me think of, okay, well, you need to be prepared for the worst and just hope for the best. In any situation, everybody should have a level of preparation or just be prepared for any natural disaster. We just went through Ian. What's hurricane is this?
What?
Ian.
It was Ian.
Yeah.
It was
Ian just
Ian.
went through, you know what I mean? And so in any situation, earthquake, you can be on the West Coast listening, you can have an earthquake. You can be in Asia somewhere listening.
Mexico
You
had
can
an
have a
earthquake 2
typhoon.
weeks ago.
Typhoon. Yeah, see what I'm saying? So it's like some cases in life, you should just be prepared for the worst and just hope for the best. It's an idiom most people use, a saying, and it really speaks to your mindset. But I'm using it right now as a stage to set up for being prepared. It's basic things in my mind. I don't do unstructured or random too well.
Mm-hmm.
I don't handle those situations. So for me,
We saw it last episode.
yeah.
It's just like,
So for me, preparing for a natural disaster or an emergency situation,
Yeah.
that helps me because I don't want to wait till the last minute to try to get ready. I'd rather be ready.
I understand. I got you.
Go ahead, because it's gonna come for me. See how they do me?
I'm just
they try
listening,
to come
sir.
for me.
I'm trying to understand the basis of the topic and the dream that you had, sir.
Look, so I fully understand being prepared. I mean, when I was younger, I used to watch all like the Doomsday Preppers shows and things like that. So I understand having a level of some level. Hopefully, you got some level of preparedness in case things go south, right? And I know, because I know more than a few people that are a part of like the Second Amendment community. They keep like what they call a bug out bag, which came from the military, but which is just a bag of stuff that you can just pick this bag up and grab it, and you've got food for a few days. In their case, you got your weapon, a weapon or multiple weapons. You got e-tool or shovel for those people that don't know what an entrenching tool is. So you've got all of these tools in a bag in case you have to get in case of a breakdown in society, and you got to get you and your family to safety.
Right.
Whatever that means to you. So I'm certainly aware of it. And I mean, I will say that, you should have, you should, I think, keep some level of preparedness, whether that's shelter in place level of preparedness with canned goods, food, and I'm not going to talk about all the things you got to do.
Just hit them because
because there's a lot of stuff.
To me, these are common. Should be.
Canned goods, non-perishables. You should have something if you can prepare. Because the other thing of it is, even if it's not like a breakdown in society, you might, like these days, you go to the grocery store, you never know what you're gonna get.
Yeah,
you never know what's gonna be in there. And while there are those that would say, well, if you bought 100 cans of corn, now that's 50 other people that couldn't buy corn. Most people are going to be like, oh, well, my family fed.
But
that's
see, now,
let's get
into it, man. Let's get into it. So now when you're talking about being prepared and not getting caught off balance, now, is there a level, is there a stop-off point, or is there a stopping point of being prepared? Because then we get into everybody trying to be prepared. Now there's a panic.
Well, no. I think it's an individual...
Okay.
A level of safety. What you feel like you're prepared for. What you can handle. Some people don't worry about it. Like, I'm okay, hurricane come tomorrow. Oh well, I'll deal with it then. That's your level of safety. That don't work for Calvin. Calvin level of safety. Nah, I need to have this, that, and the third ready. That way when these go down, I'm okay. Because in a panic mood or in the state of emergency for Calvin, he don't handle those situations well.
So do you leave any room for adjustments?
I do.
According to okay, let's say for example, you planned out for A, B, and C, but between A and B, X happened.
Okay, you gotta help me out. Give me a scenario and I'll show you I give you a good example. Go ahead, give me a scenario where you feel like that's an emergency situation.
I got nothing.
Okay, so you gotta give me something because
I can give you an emergency.
Okay,
situation.
give me an emergency. Now, this is a big emergency.
It would be more likely in a more rural area than where we live, but or here you go, a situation like Jackson, Mississippi, or Flint, Michigan, where one day you can't drink any of the water. You can't bathe.
Great. Calvin not handling that situation well. Calvin's leaving.
There's no fuel.
Everybody, we going as far as we can in this car. You don't like it, I don't know what to tell you.
Where are you going to go?
I'm headed towards the East Coast.
And see, so here's the thing.
But that's the point. But you see how random that is? That's off. That's like you didn't think that through at all. You didn't plan that. You just up and just packed everybody up and left because you didn't prepare. You didn't even have a direction of where you were going. You just up. You know why you went that way? Because that's where your point of reference is. That's where your family is. That's where everybody else is.
The other thing about this is you have to know yourself. So if you know you're like Calvin and you don't deal with wrenches being thrown into things well, then you have to have a plan prior to.
At least some
level.
If you don't, you're not going to have. That's why in these situations like Katrina and stuff, like people start getting killed, shot, raped, and everything else. Okay, that's extreme, but that can happen again.
Well, that's an emergency situation. Like we're talking extreme. We're doing hypotheticals. So then there's no such thing as extreme.
So for me, hypothetical is okay. I need to have an e-kit. I need to have at least the basics so that way I know, okay, I have an e-kit. I know what direction I'm moving in. And based on this scenario or this situation, I know I'm going to do X, Y, Z.
So you walk around with an e-kit?
No, I stage one in my house.
But what if the emergency happens and you're not home?
That's what.
That's what my point of reference is. Get that and get to going to XYZ.
Okay.
See what I'm saying?
And in his case, he's going to have to come back to the house because it's not just him. So he's going to have to. There has to be a rally point. You see what I'm saying? For everybody to everybody meet here. And
good luck, everyone else.
But this is why I did. This is why I did the show, because I want, for me, I want other people to not so much as think like me, but at least be aware, have some kind of plan. Because if you live on any coastline, a tidal flood could happen, a tidal wave, whatever, a hurricane, a storm, a north. What do they call it on the West Coast? It's not a hurricane.
You talking about the Western Pacific? They call them typhoons.
Yeah, any of that stuff can happen. It could. An earthquake could happen.
Could happen. Has happened here
okay,
before.
so what are you gonna do? You gonna just I'm gonna be prepared for the worst, hope for the best.
The vast majority of people are going to hope the government has a plan.
Yeah, and they're gonna depend on the government.
Yeah.
Watch this. You ready? Pray on it.
And that's what I'm see. Here you go. I knew they're gonna come for me. I know they're gonna come for me. I knew they're gonna come for me.
Who is they? I'm sitting here. I'm sitting here.
I'm ready for them.
Why do I have to be in the line of fire? I am sitting here.
That's all right.
I'm listening.
Hold on. No, here it comes.
Lord. So yeah, I mean,
let me get some of that.
Go ahead.
Just
Go ahead.
No.
Just wait on the
that's
Lord.
my problem.
Just wait on the Lord.
Yeah, wait on him, because he done told you 20 times before you move. So now you're hard-headed. You ain't do what he told you to do.
Okay.
See, in every scenario where, especially a major catastrophe, somebody, this is the problem too. And good church folks, you got me starting on that train. Somebody was warned. Somebody was told, and they didn't do it, or they didn't say nothing. So now they out back. And then you done got everybody else out back because you didn't do what you knew to do. And this is my case right here. You know this could be an opportunity for people to get ready for something.
Well, also, I mean, even if you did what you supposed to do, so did Noah, and they ain't listen to him neither.
Okay, but
he did what he was supposed to do.
No. See, this is my point. This is where I'm at right now. I'm glad you said it. See, y'all getting on this train, get me going. See, Noah sat there and built everybody. He did it in front of everybody. He won't hide nothing. He did it in front of them. He said, "Hey, it's gonna rain." It ain't never rained before. I don't even know what you're talking about. You look stupid right now. Okay, a natural disaster gonna happen, Calvin. Oh, you look stupid. Okay, it's gonna affect the whole East Coast. Okay, you look real dumb right now. All right, fine, cool. So, get an e-bag. Put some water in it. So here go my checklist. I run down my checklist. All right, do all this stuff, and just in case you prepared for the worst, and just in case the best happens. So now, if you don't, I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. That's your fault. I don't care because I tried to tell you. Yeah. Okay. See, now I get. All right, I'm gonna calm down because I'm about to jump into my next point. It's not anybody's fault. It's nothing. The government can't take care of everybody. That's why the government pays people grants to help them.
Yes.
Government say, "Hey, you doing what I can't do, so I will give you money to do."
A FIFO?
So anyway,
let's move on.
I'm gonna move on. Go ahead, Fonzo.
Hey man, I'm just here for the cup.
Listen, I'm not gonna like. I do think that people should prepare. I do. The thing that bothers me sometimes is the people that are saying it's gonna rain, and then they themselves are doing nothing to prepare. It's like, don't tell me it's gonna rain, and I don't see you doing anything.
Ready. Right?
You not getting. So you telling me about this? You preaching about this? You speaking about this? You on the mountaintop, so to speak, talking about this, and you yourself have nothing.
Boy.
Nothing.
That's the worst.
Don't tell me and not be preparing yourself, because otherwise it happens. Unfortunately for a lot of people in that follow a lot of the conspiracy blogs and podcasts, they got a whole lot to say and ain't prepared for none of it.
Really.
And I'm just like, if you believe what you say you believe, why are you not doing something? Anything.
And see, that's the train I'm on now. Like I'm done talking and telling. Go ahead and get my little camp ready and just sit.
So one of the things that I used to want to do, I don't know because the problem now is I'm not willing to live where I would need to live. I wanted to have a house that was completely off-grid, self-sufficient, but not be out in the middle of nowhere. Like still be close to society, but be completely off the grid. Own power, create our own power. Be able to have enough land to grow some of your own food. I mean, I'm not going to be out there slapping goats down and whatnot, but I mean, I'd be willing to do it, but I'm not, because I'm not a vegetarian or a vegan. But I just it's easier to grow food than it is to have enough land for animals to run around on, and to have a space for that. The problem is these days the only way to get a space for that kind of thing is to put it way out where ain't nobody around you. And the problem with nobody being around you is that is both a safe and very dangerous place to be at the same time. Because anything happens, nobody's around you. Anything. Right. You are completely isolated on your own, and I don't want to be completely isolated from society. We haven't gotten to any point where now. I mean, there are a lot of economists and other people that think that there will be a breakdown in society. The question is, where does that break down? What country does that start in? Where does that start? What does that even look like? Because we've never seen a breakdown in society. Right. So what does that even look like for the average person to then try to go and prepare for it? But I just feel like if somebody is saying these are the things that are going to happen, like you were just talking about, then I should be able to also see you preparing at least your family to be able to weather that storm.
Exactly. That's all I'm saying. So, Fonzo.
What's up? What's good?
You got something else?
Of course I got something else. I want to talk about these keynotes.
Go ahead.
As far as money, saving in cash, as far as preparing for the worst and hoping for the best, what direction were you going?
Okay, now, ideally, this is just a basic one from what I understand. Some people say you should have 3 to 6 months of all of your expenses saved. That's like in a perfect world. Most people can't, just reality. But in a perfect world, you should have about that much saved in an emergency situation. It would be great to have a year. You know what I mean? A year or more saved of your expenses. That'd be phenomenal. But that takes time to get there. In an emergency situation, I think cash would rule. Especially like a blackout. You couldn't exchange, and nowadays in our society where everything is cashless and online, and most of your bills and banking is done online. If something like that, like a blackout would happen, cash would rule. So
everything around me.
I think it's going to depend on the level, on what kind of disaster.
Yeah, what kind of disaster?
Because if you're talking about like a natural disaster, hurricane, flood, tornado,
about a financial disaster,
then the problem is your cash may be worthless.
Yeah, and that's the other problem.
And so this is the kind of the cyclical nature of trying to be prepared.
Yeah.
Are you invested in gold?
But
see,
again,
no. See,
none of the value.
Hang on. No.
Here we go.
Here, okay. For y'all that's invested in silver and gold. If that gold ain't on your premises, you ain't invested in silver and gold. You invested in a transaction in a computer. If that gold ain't at your house, if that silver ain't at your house, or somewhere where you can get to it, you ain't got it.
I'd rather have cheese.
I mean, that's my thing. So if you're doing it, if you're doing it as a hedge against something terrible happening,
okay.
If that is not at your house or somewhere where you can reasonably drive to, walk to, roll over to, to get it, then you ain't got it. Because in a breakdown of society or in a breakdown in the financial system, you ain't gonna be able to get that gold that you got. You got to have it on premises in order for that to work.
Did you see you couldn't get a certain amount of money out the bank in states of emergency or certain
I've heard
conditions?
about it. Yeah, I've heard about that, but I haven't actually experienced it.
You know why?
Oh,
the bank got to protect themselves, man.
That's pretty much it. Can't have a run on the bank, man. Because then the bank fails. Because the bank don't have that. Because guess what? The bank's money ain't in cash either. It's tied up in the computer in financial transactions.
So you almost make me feel like I need to do what my grandma did, put her money under the mattress.
No, you don't. Because depending on what kind of emergency you're preparing for, if there's a breakdown in society, that fiat currency is going to be worth nothing. So you would need to have some kind of physical hard, something that has been able to be traded throughout history. Because now you're back to the bartering system again, depending on the emergency that somebody's preparing for. If somebody's fully going into like breakdown in society mode, then they gotta have something to barter with. And you could barter with silver, gold, or precious metals. You could barter with, if you have animals, cattle, whatever the case may be. You could barter with
drinking water.
But that's what I'm saying. You got to have something to trade if you're going all the way out there. If you're just talking about a hurricane, you need to be able to fend for you. Like when we had a hurricane a few years ago and power was out in a lot of places for 7 days.
Yeah.
So then you needed in that kind of situation. Well, I need canned goods. Because canned goods are, for the most part, already cooked. You can eat them cold. Just open the can with your manual can opener. Open the can, and then you can eat. You can actually consume food.
Yep.
So that's why I would say people should probably keep some level, at least 7 days worth of canned goods that you can eat. You probably should also store beans, because like bean kits. Because those all you need is water and heat for that. You can throw some wood on the ground and to get that.
One thing I didn't consider until it happened was a first aid kit.
Yeah, I mean, you should have a first aid kit.
Anyway. But I never considered it until I needed it and didn't have it. Same.
So
I didn't even think about it.
In the state of emergency, would you, as far as protection, what would you? How would you do that?
This is where I depend on my network, on the people I know around me. This is my strength and my weakness, because I don't carry. I'm not anti-gun. I don't.
Oh, you got reasons that you probably shouldn't carry.
Yeah. I have reasons why I don't carry, and no, I do not have weapons. I do not have guns in my house.
Don't.
I'll tell you, no, because I'll put it out there, because I invite you. I accept all.
He said, "I don't want peace. I want problems."
Always. But there's a reason I don't, and I don't. But I know I do have. I don't carry guns. I do have weapons. That's the difference. So people say don't bring a knife to a gunfight, and I understand that philosophy too.
I mean, if you are silent enough, you can definitely bring a knife to every gunfight.
Anyway, now
but
and again, I depend on other people. Then I'm comfortable with the people that I know that do carry, and I do know how to use guns that would be available.
You're in the Marine Corps. You can't really.
So
So
rifleman first.
Here's always the thing, right? And this is the challenge you have with the protection aspect. Is if that's the case, you got to have more than the people coming against you. Unless you are hoping that purely by the threat, you can avoid conflict. And I don't, at some point, because I'm dealing with it from a standpoint of a breakdown of society. Not necessarily like hurricane, sure. Go outside, wave your gun at people, get arrested later because you're going to be on camera. But, you be safe for that moment in time. But also waving your gun at people in almost every state in the United States is against the law. You never point your weapon at anything you don't intend to shoot.
That's facts.
Right.
You don't got no sword. You need a katana. I got one of those.
No, I'm good. Right.
I got a couple people motivators.
For sure.
Hey. Like
I'm glad you feel comfortable and safe.
I feel very safe. Now, again, in a situation like that, when that time comes for me to complete the box, don't worry.
I mean, I think the vast majority of people do feel comfortable and safe most of the time.
Yeah,
but except for Zoe.
So let's move on.
But I don't know. But the problem is, I don't know. I don't even know if you built a fortress for yourself. Exactly. I don't know if you built a fortress for yourself that you would feel comfortable and safe.
I don't think I will be comfortable to where I would. Well, I feel safe, but I'm just like you say, you prepare for the worst,
right, and
hope for the best,
right. So part of that, my philosophy is, you live by the sword, you die by the sword, and it's really a principle. It says whatever principles you live by, more than likely those will be the principles that will kill you.
Gotcha.
So I'm a man of peace. I try to practice peace first.
I'm a man of
The sword.
No.
Liquid swords.
Man, come on.
But, okay. I'll say this. I am not looking for trouble. I'm not the type to go out here. I don't live by the sword that way. However, I will protect me and mine at all costs.
Amen.
Very good.
Gotta protect your neck.
Very good.
Yeah.
Willing to
Gotta
die
protect
for
your
it.
neck.
So what about oh Lord?
All right, so some of the tips, some of the principles, some of the things you should do in preparation. One, you should communicate where you're going to be. For an example, let's say we had a flood here because of the hurricane, and we had to evacuate. Florida had to evacuate during So, where would you go? Do your immediate family know where you're going or where they should find you at?
I think in our case, yes, because if it's a hurricane, because more than likely we're just going to go to the Midwest because we got family there anyway, so that's where we would go. If we did not have family there, then we would still drive to the Midwest. It would we wouldn't have. I would try to pick a town large enough that we could get a place to stay, but small enough that wasn't where everybody's going.
Right.
So, like, if I was going west, I might pick Knoxville or Nashville or even Chattanooga, but I might not go to Memphis
or Dale City, Oklahoma.
Or you gotta but see, the problem is by the time you drive to Dale City, you may as well turn around and drive back.
No, 3-day drive.
Stand your
It
ground.
ain't even 3 days. It's 24 hours. It's right beside Oklahoma City.
Yeah, take your time.
I know where Dale City's at.
Very good.
So, so you could drive there in a day, but you could also take your time.
Take your time. Stop in Danville first. Anyway,
moving on.
So yes,
I don't know what that's about.
So
Let's
like in the case of a hurricane where it was just like category 4 coming to Virginia, we probably would be like, all right, we rolling out, we going here. In the case of a flood, it'd be the same thing. In the case of an earthquake, same. So natural disasters, we're probably gonna, as long as it wasn't affecting that area also, then we're probably going to go out to the Midwest. If it was a complete breakdown of society, hey, you need to get in the country.
Yeah.
You need to get out the cities as fast as you can. The problem then is, do you have a place to go in the country?
Yeah.
And do you already have land or a residence or a cabin, something where you can go and figure out your next move? Because then you got to figure out what would actually be going on in society where you could go. And then if that is a case where you're going to go, and have you built a community in that area of people that you know and trust, and everybody go there, or is it just you and your family? Because if it's you and a few other families, well, now you can actually make that a homestead, for lack of a better term, right? Where everybody's there. You can have some sort of defense, which Zoe would appreciate, right? Because at a breakdown society, you're gonna need defense, so that you can, and then this can just become your stronghold.
Not just a fence, people.
You can then have a stronghold where you can actually start growing food, start building, and actually build a community there.
Right. Know the warning signs. Know your warning signs. Know your alerts.
And alerts.
Yeah.
So what are we doing? Are we going?
I'm just going through.
No. I'm saying, as far as warning signs and alerts, are we talking like watching the news? Or are we talking about the writing on the wall? What are we talking about?
Writing on the wall. You got to be able to see what the news isn't saying.
So I got to decipher basically what I'm seeing.
I mean, essentially, yes. You got to be able to tie multiple things together and say, okay, this, and this is going on, so that's probably going to lead to that.
Correct.
And then here's the thing: we're just talking about being prepared for stuff. We ain't even talking about actually doing anything other than having a plan in case something happens. And and the thing of it is, the people that you care about just need to know the plan. They ain't got to agree with it.
They need to know what you're doing. That's my biggest thing.
And sometimes it's even just knowing that you have a plan. Now, if they know you, they should know that you have a plan because they know you. Especially if people live in your house, they should know that you have a plan without you having to say. Now, another thing that we haven't talked about is a plan if, it's not a natural disaster or a breakdown society, but even if somebody just breaks in the house, what is the plan?
Right.
What have we practiced, drilled, and rehearsed if somebody breaks in the house? especially if you've got people that aren't all like if everybody's upstairs, somebody breaks in downstairs. Well, that's easy. It's easy to defend upstairs, unless they set fire to the house, and that's another story. But then it's hard because then you gotta get out in a hurry. But it's easier to defend if you have a split level because everybody's upstairs. You have one entry point to defend against, and that's the stairs. But if you are in a ranch style house, well, you got a ton of points of entry because every window is reachable from the ground. So, so it just depends, Because my thing is, you can break in the house, take all the stuff you want. I'm worried about the people.
Yeah.
I'm worried about the people that's in the house. Do whatever you want with the house.
Just don't come up the steps.
I had a lot of like visual pictures. I have pictures in my head while y'all was talking, and I'm a big fan. I am someone who would definitely defend. And then once that is secure, then we move on to the next. We'll assess the situation and we'll move on. Like if we got to get out of here, we'll get out of here. So as far as having a plan, I guess I can have a conversation with Ashley and we can indulge in that. But in my head, I'm like, yo, just get behind me, follow my lead. If I tell you to do something, do it, and you'll survive.
Well, see,
if you want to live,
follow me.
Follow me.
Well, see, sometimes
get to the chopper.
Sometimes that is the problem. Is they are waiting on you to tell them what to do, and so then they do nothing
until
then. So if they've got and they've talked about this for years. Even in the case of a fire, like everybody should know. Okay, if you see smoke, if you smell smoke, wake up, smell smoke. If your door is open, you need to close your door. You need to put a towel or something under your door. This is all stuff that I know when I was a kid, they used to teach on some of the Saturday morning cartoons, like what to do in case of a fire. Mm-hmm. What, if you have a 2-story place, that you need to have one of those egress ladders in the room so that you can actually get out of the house. And then you should be teaching your children how to utilize all this equipment and what to do in case of an emergency. So that you don't have to be the one to save them. Especially if there's a situation where you can't get to them to save them, that they already know what to do. Even if you just practice it a few times, they should know, close the door if they sleep with the door open, and then stick a towel, something under the bottom of the door so that the smoke can't get in. Now you got more time to get out. So it's, there's so many things that can happen in this life.
You got new houses now with vents on each of the doors.
Yeah, well, that's by law. They got to have them on top of the doors, yeah.
Anyway.
Building code. But even then, you can get magnetic covers for that. Get a magnetic cover, slap that up there. That's stuff that people don't think about. It's the same things that people use because there are some houses that have vents on the floor and vents in the ceiling. In the United States, I know other countries do things differently, but they have vents on the floors and vents in the ceiling because one, like for heat, is better to heat from the floor or vice versa, one of them. But it's better to do one from one area and one from the other. So what they'll do is, if they have ceiling vents, they'll cover the ceiling vents so that the heat doesn't rise into the ceiling vents and stays out of the vent and then stays in the room. So you could get the same kind of magnetic cover. And then in the case of a fire, slap that cover up there. One of them can't do it because he kind of short. So one of them can't do it. But slap that thing on up there, and then doors closed, towel on the bottom of the door. And you could also eliminate that if you just had like those sweepers, those like door sweepers, have one of those on the bottom of every door, but then you have to have hardwood floors for that though. Yeah. Well, so there's a lot of stuff. It's just most people don't think about any of it. They just say the unthinkable will never happen to me, but the unthinkable happens to somebody every day. And are you going to have any level of preparedness for it? That's really what it's about.
All right, so hit these last few and we out.
If it's the end of the world, you ain't got to worry about nothing world over. So you ain't got to worry about that one. And you can't prepare for the end of the world. If the sun explodes, it's called done.
Y'all won't Calvin. See that. You won't see the end of the world.
Hey, Calvin.
Nobody alive today will see the end of the world.
I
promise you.
Calvin.
I say, here you go.
Calvin.
Here you go.
Do you know how to shut off your utilities?
Do you know how to shut off your utilities? Thank you, Alan. I know how to shut the utilities off.
Okay.
You should know how to cut your gas off, your electricity, your circuit breakers, and all the other stuff. You should know how to do that.
Now, that you hope you do. Like at my house, there isn't a hard shut off for like, did you know some places that you have one main breaker?
Yep.
We don't have a main breaker, so I got to cut off every individual breaker in order to get mine off. So, but that's something that you need to know, and that's something that other people need to know. Because let's say
other than you,
because let's say you have some electrical arcing somewhere.
Right.
People need to know. Go in here, slap all these off, or go in here, click
or
that one off.
Or if you live in a flood zone,
and
your house could go underwater, you hit the circuit breaker to cut the electricity off in the house.
Yep.
So we talked about fuel and vehicles and equipment. We talked about that.
We didn't talk about that at all.
You should have fuel
usually,
in your vehicle.
If you are preparing, you should at least have a half a tank. If you're one of these people that wants to be prepared, at least have half a tank of fuel. Or if you drive an electric like I do, keep it. Just plug it in every night. Keep it up to 80% or 90%, whatever is your level of comfortability. Because that's going to get you in almost every car at least 200 miles. So, that'll get you out of harm's way, especially if you need to just drive straight west. You may have a hard time because at that point you're just trying to get out of Dodge. You're not worried about charging on that other end. You're just trying to go, and then you'll figure it out when you get out that way.
All right, last one, gentlemen. Then we got to get up out of here. I know y'all busy. This last note, hey Calvin, it says Jesus coming back.
Ooh.
Jesus coming back. What is that? What is
I don't
that?
know why this guy
prepare for the worst
Calvin the way
and hope for the best. What is this? What is this note for? Where are you coming from? What's your direction? What's your vision, perspective?
Did
on
he
that?
make that note?
He did.
Because he said it. He said it.
When did I say that?
He said preparing for the. He said preparing for the worst and hope for the best.
This says Alfonso made edits.
Oh, it says
no. But I put that in there because he said it.
Oh, okay.
He said that.
You inserted my name on that?
He said that.
You must have the question mark.
So,
I don't know.
Since he want to go there, and I always say, prepare for the worst, hope for the best. Hey, I ain't got nothing for you. You should have been there. That's your business. I don't care now. That's your fault. I ain't got nothing for you. You ain't prepared. That's your business.
Cue the music.
You scared, go to church. You scared, go to church. If y'all ain't seen everything that happened the last 5 years, that's your fault. I told you, I'm Noah. I'm building my own stuff. I don't know what to tell you.
Okay, I like it.
Yep.
Any closing thoughts?
Sorry, not sorry.
That's my favorite song.
I love you. Sorry, not sorry.
But you cut off.
You cut off.
I love you. I just wish everybody the best. To tell you, hey man, scared, go to church. Baptize in the name of Jesus, filled with the Holy Ghost. Repent of your sins, stuff like that.
Hey,
what is this you doing? Why? What is this?
It's a happy
That's
fingers.
that's a flyway. That's my new
angel?
flyway.
Oh,
That's your new flyway? Make sure you flap your wings fast. I wouldn't want some cues to come running up at you.
Man.
Hey, I wish I had that gift. You know how they make people disappear?
That's fine. I can make that work. That's a new challenge. That's a new challenge.
Yep.
I'm gonna see if I can get that on the video edit and just fade you out.
Go.
Everybody else sitting here, Lord have mercy.
Hey,
what you got?
Hey, just lastly, man. My little final thought is, after listening to this conversation, this podcast, or while recording it, I do. Or just take the time to have some kind of emergency plan, whether it's at your home, whether it's fire, flood, whatever the case is. Have a strategy to overcome that. That way, you and your family are safe, man. That's really a good rule of thumb.
Yeah,
it is. I mean, you do need to have an emergency plan, and I would say that everybody in your house, if you are the head of the household, however you look at that. Then everybody really is counting on you to have a plan, even if they don't know they're counting on you to have a plan. But they are counting on you to be the one that's going to guide them through whatever situation they have. If you've discussed it in advance, then it's a much easier conversation to have once the unthinkable happens. But if you haven't discussed it, you may have some convincing to do, but have some kind of plan. And we're not saying live paranoid. We're just saying also don't live like an ostrich. Don't put your head in the sand and pretend that nothing can happen. Because something can, a fire in your home, a hurricane, an earthquake, a flood, all these things are possible anywhere that you live. And so you need to have some level of thought process put into it so that you're not caught off guard.
Don't be sorry.
Be careful.
Be careful.
We'll see y'all next week.
Yeah.